On this week's Rambler Sports Locker, the men's soccer team has been the team to watch all season, but how will the Ramblers hold up in the MVC tournament?
Also, RSL reporter Morgenstern picks her top 5 Chicago athletes with the best facial hair. And speaking of facial hair, RSL reporter Patricia Martinez has one hairy story. Patricia?
Thanks, Nader. I just sat down with the men's volleyball team to discuss the Movember movement. I'll have more for you on that later.
Welcome, Rambler fans, to another edition of the Rambler Sports Locker. I'm Nader Issa.
And I'm Madeline Kenney. Other than falling to SIUE last week, the number 13 Loyola men's soccer team hasn't been rocked by any major losses this season. Loyola wrapped up its regular season with their last home game against Bradley. It was senior night. Loyola honored its 6 seniors in an emotional pregame ceremony, but the emotions quickly turned. Alec Lisinski's shot blocked by the post, but Brody Crossell swoops in for the rebound goal. His third of the season, Ramblers up 1-0. Later in the first half, it's Aiden McGauley with the ball. He crosses to Connor Stevenson, who launches one to the back of the net. Stevenson with a Birdman celebration. The Ramblers shut out the Braves 2-0. The Ramblers capture the school's first MVC regular season championship title after went 13-2-1 overall and 6-1-1 in the Valley. Loyola gets a bye for round 1 of the MVC tournament and will take on the 5th-seeded Missouri State Bears in the semis Friday night at 6 p.m. RSL talked to senior midfielder Ryan Howe, who says the team is ready to win it all.
Just the guys have been working hard, and so to get the regular season title was really great for us, and we were all really happy. We're happy, but we're not satisfied. We're looking forward towards the tournament now and preparing for that.
The Valley honors keep rolling for Loyola. Redshirt junior goalkeeper Andrew Chekadonov was honored with the MVC Scholar Athlete of the Week for the 2nd time this season. That means he boasts at least a 3.2 GPA. Chekadonov had a fairly easy senior night, only tallying 1 save.
On the women's side of Loyola soccer, the Ramblers closed their season in heartbreaking fashion. It was deja vu, and a repeat of last season's ending. Loyola's looking back at what could have been after losing to Evansville in a penalty shootout in the MVC tournament. Junior Avalon San Raymond gave the Ramblers an early lead, but it didn't last. In the second half, Loyola let in a goal before taking the tied score into penalties. The Purple Aces prevailed 8-7 in the shootout. Despite the loss, it wasn't all bad for the Ramblers. After the tournament, San Raymond and senior Shelby Koch were named MVC All-Tournament Team. Koch started in both of Loyola's contests in the tournament and helped San Raymond's goal in her final appearance for Loyola against Evansville. Koch, along with sophomore Jenna Chechny and freshman Sienna Cruz, were given all MVC honors. Along with earning spots on the second team, Cruz was also named as a member of the league's all-freshman team. Now, there are some professional athletes who are known for their amazing facial hair.
Over to RSL reporter Morgenstern, who picks out the top 5 Chicago athletes with the best facial hair.
In honor of No Shave November, this week's top 5 is dedicated to the best facial hair in Chicago sports. Here are my top picks for some Movember inspiration. Coming in at number 5 is Blackhawks goaltender Scott Darling. Darling's full red beard caught attention during the 2015 playoff season. On June 15, 2015, Darling became the first Chicago area native to win the Stanley Cup with the Blackhawks. This season, Darlings currently has 3 wins, and the Blackhawks are 10-3-1. Number 4 is Cubs relief pitcher Rod Beck. His handlebar mustache was part of his intimidating demeanor on the mound. The 3-time All-Star pitched for the Cubs from 1998 to 1999. During the 1998 season, Beck had a career high of 51 saves. In the following season, Beck battled injury and was traded to the Boston Red Sox. Number 3 is former Bulls forward Drew Gooden. During the 2008-2009 season, Gooden had a bet with fellow NBA player Deshaun Stevenson of who could hold off shaving the longest. Gooden lost the bet but had fun entertaining fans with his interesting style of facial hair. Number 2 is Cubs starting pitcher Jake Arrieta. Arrieta started to grow his beard when he was traded to Chicago in July of 2013. From then on, his beard got thicker and his resume got longer. Arrieta won the Cy Young Award in 2015 and was an integral part of the Cubs' World Series win just last week. And number 1 is reserved for the one and only Mike Ditka. The Hall of Famer won the NFL championship as a tight end for the Bears in 1963 and went on to win Super Bowl 20 as the Bears head coach. His jersey, number 89, was retired by the Bears in 2013. Ditka's mustache has become a part of his persona and an iconic image for Chicago sports. That's all for this week's Top 5. I'm Emily Morgenstern. Over to you, Madeline.
Thanks, Emily. The women's basketball team showed off its off-season progress in 2 exhibition games over the weekend, winning both games in double-digit margins. After defeating the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater in its first exhibition game, Loyola took on Concordia in its final exhibition game. The Ramblers eased past the Cougars due to hot shooting. Brandy Seegers, Caitlin Williams, and Katie Salmon all in double digits. Salmon posted game-high 23 points and 5 rebounds. First-year head coach Kate Octor says the exhibition victories give her team confidence heading into the season, with room for improvement.
You know, we got out of the exhibitions exactly what I wanted. We were challenged, but we still saw a lot of room for improvement. As far as our lack of playing together, we're going to fight through that all season, but it means a lot that the kids could find a way to rally against both teams that we were down against. So if we have that kind of fight as we carry on into the regular season, I'll be pleased with it. But yeah, our experience will always be an issue, but we either embrace it or, you know, it fights against us all year.
The women's and men's basketball teams open up their season with a doubleheader this Friday at Gentile Arena. The women's team takes on in-state rival Northern Illinois at 5 p.m., and the men's team will follow against Elkhorn State at 7:30.
The women's volleyball team hosted the Wichita State Shockers on November 5th on senior night. Senior outside hitter Morgan Reardon ended the game with a match high of 13 kills, but the Shockers proved to be too much for the Ramblers, winning the match 3-0. The loss drops the Ramblers to 12-15 overall and 7-7 in Missouri Valley Conference play. The next night, the Ramblers were back in action in Gentile Arena hosting the Missouri State Bears. Making her in a month, freshman setter Anna Fluent gets things going for the Ramblers early. She had a team-high 26 assists. Later, freshman outside hitter Quinn Speaker joins in on the action with a big kill. But the Bears proved to be too much for Loyola. Although the Ramblers almost matched Missouri State's number of kills, Loyola's hit percentage was a measly 10%. Led by Lily Johnson's game-high 18 kills, Missouri State came out on top in straight sets. Gabby Majikowski added a team-high 11 kills for Loyola. Senior Morgan Reardon was announced as a recipient of the State Farm Missouri Valley Conference Good Neighbor Award for the 2016-17 season. A role model in the Loyola neighboring communities, Reardon has performed community service at the Ronald McDonald House of Chicago, Loyola University's Relay for Life, and puts on free coaching clinics in Rogers Park. Eligible student athletes must have good academic standing and demonstrate good citizenship through sportsmanship and community service. The women's volleyball team will be back in action as they head to Iowa for a pair of road matches. The Ramblers will take on Northern Iowa and Drake University this weekend. Now, get ready to see some pretty gnarly facial hair from our Loyola athletes, but it's all for a good cause.
RSL reporter Patricia Martinez has the story on the men's volleyball team involvement with Movember movement.
It's November, and for those who don't know, November is also known as Movember. Not sure what Movember is? The men's volleyball team can tell you.
So it's basically we all grow these disgusting mustaches to raise awareness for men's health.
The volleyball team has spearheaded the Movember movement for the past 5 years. The team had a passion to participate to support Loyola alum and former volleyball player Owen McAndrews, a survivor of testicular cancer. The team hopes that their mustaches create some type of dialogue.
It's like the mustache is kind of a conversation starter. If someone asks like why you're growing that, you'll then explain it's for Movember.
Head coach Mark Hulse encourages people to ask why the team is growing such bad facial hair.
You know, you run into someone on the street and you got a pretty bad mustache, you hope they ask. You hope they don't think that you're just growing it because you think it looks good.
The men's volleyball team has raised over $15,000 in the past 5 years. They coordinate with the Movember Foundation to not only raise awareness but raise money for the research. And they love to laugh at each other's attempts to grow a mustache.
The best part is kind of like 15 to 20 days in when there's a lot of really awkward mustaches. Mine, I don't know if the camera's HD, but it's pretty bad.
I think the best part is just poking fun at all the guys who can't grow mustaches and just seeing all the gross mustaches that we have by the end of November.
I honestly like growing the mustache because I grow a terrible mustache, so I think it's kind of funny to have like this creepy little mustache.
The Movember movement has become a Loyola favorite, and we can't wait to see the mustaches at the end of the month. For Rambler Sports Locker, I'm Patricia Martinez.
Thanks, Patricia. We're looking forward to their mustaches indeed. Now, Ramble analyst Mike Nitsch offers to take on a familiar opponent.
Over to Dylan Conover and his Rambler analyst to discuss which basketball team will be most successful this season.
Welcome back to this week's Ramble. I'm Dylan Conover, and I'm joined today by Mike Nitsch and Tricia McCauley. And guys, we're talking about basketball. It starts up on Friday. We have both the men's and women's team at Loyola tipping off their regular season. And my question to you is, who's going to have the better year? Mike, we'll start with you.
Well, I think it's fair that we start with me. The women's basketball coach is new this year. I think that she has a lot to do, and I think that she has a lot of potential. Her team is absolutely fresh, minus a few players. But I do believe that the freshness of the team, the newness of the team, is going to give her an advantage. They've already played 2 exhibition games. Guess what? Both wins.
Tricia, what do you think?
Well, the men's basketball team didn't do too hot last season, and they did lose a lot of good players like Earl Peterson and Montel James. But we do have 6 new freshmen coming in, and we have key returning players like Milton Doyle and Ben Richardson, and I think they're going to build upon that. And like you said, Kate Ochner and her team is fresh. They're new this season. They have a lot of work to do. I think it's going to take more than just this season to be able to be good.
Would you say, Mike, that the women's team's success is defined by wins and losses? Because, you say
that's a great question.
New personnel is good, but there's a lot of unknowns there.
You're right. At the end of the season, it will come down to wins and losses. Unfortunately, the wins and losses won't actually matter. The wins and losses are important, but if the team feels like they did a good job, Kate Ochner probably has her own set of goals laid out for this season. That may be making the MVC tournament. If they did that, that would be surprising, no doubt at all. But I think that would be great for them. I think that for the men's team, it's more of a challenge to come in and say, yes, we've changed X, Y, Z, and this is why we're better this season.
Tricia, now the men's team has a lot of Porter's recruits, which is what's different about the women's team. The women's team has a lot of the former head coaches' recruits coming in, but all of these freshmen coming in for the men's team are Porters. So are the expectations a little higher, do you think, for the men's team?
I do think it's a little higher, just because they're Porter's recruits, and with her, she's kind of newer at this, and Porter has, his 6th season with the team, and the team should be performing at a higher level at this point, and I think he's starting to actually pull it together, and I think they're going to have a good season.
So what do you think is a reasonable expectation for the men's team? A conference tournament? A conference championship appearance?
Let's be real. I don't think they're going to make it to the conference tournament championship. Maybe the tournament. I would shoot for doing better than a 15-17 record last year.
Now, Mike, would you think that the women's team is going to be okay with the fact that they have won their first 2 exhibition games, which is something the men's team didn't even do this season?
I think that's important, but I don't think that exhibition games count. Because they don't count. It'll give them positive feelings going forward. So maybe that plus, the freshness of the team. Everybody's coming in with an open mind, and I think that Kate Ochner has a lot to do, but I think that she's in a perfect position to come out with a successful season.
Tricia, what do you think? Your closing statements.
So, I just think she's too fresh and new at this point to be able to have a successful season. I think she'll do good things, but I think it's going to take a couple years before she's really able to build up the women's basketball foundation.
Will it take 5 or 6 years of losing seasons like Porter's?
I mean, last year was
I'm not
bad.
sure.
Previous years were better than before, and I think they're making a comeback this year with all the key players they've just recruited in.
Right. I think that there's only so much that freshmen can do. I'm excited to see what the women's team has to offer, and I honestly believe that they have a better shot at a successful season with their brand new head coach.
Now, you guys both argue very well, and I think I'm going to have to go with Mike here. I think that the men's team lost way too much last year to where we can confidently say they're going to be a contending team. I don't even think we know who the starting five are, and I think because we have actually seen some preseason talent from the women's team and we know that they have something to move forward with, I'm going to have to roll with Mike on the victory for this one.
I appreciate that.
Like I said, both teams tip off tomorrow, at women at 5 and the men at 7:30. Back to you guys at the desk. I'm Dylan Conover.
You know, I really am interested to see how the women's basketball team does this season, especially since none of these recruits are her own.
They have a new look for sure. It'll be interesting to watch. For our full episodes and the chance to get in on the conversation, follow and like our social media handles for an up-to-date look at all things Rambler Sports.
Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Madeline Kenney.
And I'm Nader Issa. Check back next week for another episode of the Rambler Sports Locker.
And as always, don't forget to turn out the lights.